like and subscribe. Now let's get straight to it. Let's tell the truth here. The United States has totally lost the war in Israel. The only thing the United States can do is drop bombs on civilians with Israel. United States and Israel, if you can't put troops on the ground, you lose. This is the same thing the United States did in Vietnam. When the United States knew that it had lost the war in Vietnam, it dropped a bunch of bombs on Vietnam and left. Because it couldn't put troops on the ground, and when it did, they were being beat the hell up. The same situation is in Ukraine. You got 40, 50-year-old men trying to fight a war in Ukraine because all the younger men are evidently deleted or left the country. So all the United States is doing in Ukraine is dropping bombs. And $1 billion has come up missing in Ukraine. But one thing we know for sure is that Zelensky is rich and he has American citizenship. So the United States has just given up Ukraine, totally given up. And NATO thought that they could defeat Russia and couldn't. Now they're in an even worse situation in Israel. You don't hear about Israeli troops going in, doing this and doing that. They tore those tanks up. I wonder just how many tanks Israel has left anyway. They were destroying those $10, $20 million tanks, destroying them with $10,000 and $20,000, with $10,000 to the most $20,000 rocket launchers, GPS guided rocket launchers, and GPS guided drones, tearing those tanks up. And then it got to the point where Palestinian Hamas was coming out of tunnels and putting explosives on the tanks and running back in the holes. Then you had those young Israeli troops standing in blown up buildings in the windows, smoking bongs. And one got shot in the head with a sniper while he was in the window smoking bombs. And you could even when this war is on the internet, if you go to the right channel, and it was showing Israeli soldiers just walking through the rubble as if they were walking through a park. And there were so many hiding places in the rubble where people could come up from a tunnel and then just blow them away. And that's what they were doing. Young men. Now, the question is, how old are the men in Israel that are fighting now? They're losing. Israel, only thing Israel is doing is killing civilians with the help of the United States, dropping bombs, killing civilians, and that's it. The reality of the situation, we heard, it was a news report last week that the Hamas couldn't get any more supplies in. Well, Hamas is still doing the same thing they've been doing, and they don't need to come out of the tunnels anymore because Israel isn't sending troops and tanks in there anymore. They're just dropping bombs. Like I said, dropping bombs is the same thing the United States did in Vietnam. Drop bombs and then left. Because you can't win. If you don't have ground troops, you can't win. You can't occupy anything unless you have feet on the ground. Now, just recently, they're not sure who did it, an Israeli oil refinery was hit. Iron Dome is not working. They got this Iron Dome thing, And these missiles cost $1 million to shoot down other missiles. But the missiles that they're shooting down and the drones that they are shooting down, as I've already explained, cost less than $20,000. So you shooting down a $20,000 drone with a $1,000 missile. And they have at least 150,000 of those things. And they can produce them themselves. The Houthis can't produce them, they can make them themselves. How many $1 million missiles can you make to shoot them down? And it's just a matter of time. Because if they really wanted to upset Israel, they could shoot 1,000 of those missiles. And that would be it. And the Iron Dome couldn't stop none of them. And the Houthis can shoot them, and Hezbollah can shoot them as well. The Houthis, Hezbollah, and then there's another faction that they're fighting also. Oh, Hamas. You got Hamas in the south, Hezbollah in the north, and the Houthis in the Red Sea blocking shipping from coming through. And then you have countries that are denying access to Israel through the Red Sea. Can't win. And the only thing the United States can do is drop bombs. That's it. Eventually, Israel is going to look like the Ukraine. Already 500,000 Israelis have already left and are repatriating. Then you have the reality of the situation is you have Israelis protesting outside of Netanyahu's house. I mean, the only thing the only thing in America that we're seeing is propaganda. And every time you hear about America launching all these missiles and doing that, it's because there's nothing else that can be done. There's nothing else that can be done. And I hear that, and the people in Israel, they got to be starving. They got to be down on food. Their electricity can't be on 24 hours. Can't be. Because nothing is getting in there. No supply ships are allowed in there. The most of the United States, and then the boats. And then you got really boats attacking ships. Those container ships are being attacked by boats. I don't know, boats can't be no more than about maybe 30 feet long. You can launch a drone and a missile from anything. You don't need no millions and millions of dollars battleship to launch a drone. You don't need all that. To launch a drone, anything, you don't shoot a drone, you just hit a button. Now what they're buying is, now they're buying little cheaper drones. The little cheap drones that you can buy at the store, they can buy those. And attach weapons to those. I mean, you know, all this money the United States done spent on this military. It's a waste of money. And like I was saying about an aircraft carrier, that's just a big target. A big target, easy to hit. And now you talking about an aircraft carrier, you talking about billions and billions of dollars. Then you talking about all the planes on it. And guess what? So, and they have like a little missile defense system where they shoot down missiles. But shoot, you could take one of those, you could take one aircraft carrier, launch 200 drones and guided missiles at an aircraft carrier, and you take it out. It doesn't have enough missiles at $1 million a piece to stop all that incoming. And then you got at least 1,000 men on it, and you got planes on it. So you take out, I mean, you figure 100 drones. What is that? 10,000? It costs, say, $2,000 a piece. What's that? $100,000? You take $100,000, $200,000 worth of drones, and you'll take out a aircraft carrier easy. because you can launch at least 200 at the thing. Then what? You're not going to stop them all, and they're GPS guided. The only thing the United States can do is stay as far back as they can and drop long range and try to hit stuff with long range missiles with that can go at least 1,000 miles before it needs to be refueled, or something, or at least 500 or 600 miles before it needs to be refueled. Something crazy like that. You all figure out the math. Look it up. But the United States can't win. And the only thing we're looking at on TV is the United States talking about we did this, we did that. Ain't did nothing. Nothing whatsoever. Like I said, the United States can't win this. It's stupid to even be in it. And Yemeni, they talking about sending in 1 million troops. I mean, what is it? Yeah, about 2 million troops altogether. They can't win. It's a waste of time, a waste of money.